Hi friends, hope you are doing well. I'm Dr. Ganguly. Welcome to my channel. So today I will answer a viewer's question, and this question is, what about postdocs in Eastern Europe, in Central Europe? So again, this is a very interesting problem because many people have been getting postdocs in some of these countries. And then the question is that if you do a postdoc from these countries, how is the research going to be there? How is your life going to be there? And also later on, what are the things which you can do? So let's look at this problem in detail. Now, the specific countries which are good for doing postdoc in Eastern Europe and Central Europe include Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovakia, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Romania, and Bulgaria. Now, these are, of course, some of the countries where I know some people are doing postdocs and where there is a general feeling that good postdoc opportunities are there because there is a competitive research environment in these countries. Now, of course, if you are a foreign postdoc, you are going to need funding, you are going to need some kind of position, and most likely you are going to require that research is something which is conducted in the English language. You also need to check the field of specialization in each of these countries and whether there are professors and universities which are specifically working in your area. So let's look at point number one as to where Eastern Europe and Central Europe is pretty strong. And do remember that these countries were part of the so-called Warsaw Pact. Some of them were in fact part of the Soviet Union. So most of these countries have a very good background in terms of science and technology. And what I mean by science, of course, is physics, chemistry, math, bio. And of course, in terms of technology, the various engineering disciplines, particularly, they are strong in mechanical engineering, material science, and some of the core engineering fields. Also, recently they have picked up in computer science, and of course, you can also study medical science in these countries. So, many times, if you are interested in any of the STEM areas, then these countries may be good to work in. Now, the second fact has to do with national and specifically EU funded projects. So, do remember that these countries are all part of the European Union. The European Union runs a huge bureaucracy in terms of research funding, and there are millions, if not billions, of euros out there which are being dispensed to research labs, to universities, to professors around the European countries. So, very often they have written some proposal, they have got some money. Now they do need somebody to do the research or at least do part of the research. So, again, this is a possibility which you can tap in if you are applying for a postdoc. Now, of course, there are European specific postdocs such as the Marie Curie postdoc. In some cases, you may even be able to do master's and PhD under the Erasmus Mundus scheme. So again, I have made some videos on those subjects. I'm going to leave them on the end screen and on the description box. Now, the third issue has to do with the language. And of course, as you know, Europe has different languages out there. For example, if you're in France, you need to learn French. If you're in Germany, you need to learn German. But the thing about Eastern and Central Europe is that most of the time, they may not expect you to learn the local language because the local languages are very local and they are very difficult. So, for example, if you were to try to learn Hungarian, you are going to spend a lot of time just in learning the language, and maybe you are never going to get around to doing any research. So that's something which the people in these countries understand. So as far as they themselves are concerned, they would like to work in the English language because all the journals are in the English language, all the conferences are being held in the English language. In the old days, they often thought about working in German or French, but nowadays those languages have been dissipating with the passage of time. Now, there are, of course, many universities in these countries. I'm going to leave a list of the important universities at the end of the video so you can check them out. I'm going to leave them with a lot of B-roll, so take a look at that. Now, the fifth factor has to do with the culture and the experience there. And like I mentioned to you, all these countries have a rich culture in terms of the kind of language they have, the literature they have, and the architecture in some of the capital cities is very excellent. For example, if you look at Prague, if you look at Budapest, you will see a lot of good architecture there. So certainly you are going to have a very interesting experience. And at the end of the postdoc, you may or may not be able to get a job in any of these countries. But do remember that the European Union is a pretty vast place and you may be able to get a job in a different country in Europe, or you may be able to come to US, or you may be able to go back to some country and you may be able to get a faculty position there, because as far as Europe is concerned, it's pretty strong in science and technology. And there are many journals out there, for example, the Elsevier journals, the Springer journals, which are essentially headquartered in Europe. And so you will be able to publish in some of these journals. And then if you have a decent number of papers, then you will be able to get a faculty position. Or maybe you can get one more postdoc out there if that is your intention here. So this was my video about Central Europe and Eastern Europe. Now do remember that some of the Western European countries are in a kind of static state, and therefore you may find more dynamism in the eastern part of the European continent, and this may be the possible opportunity which you are looking for. In fact, I know some people who actually have become professors in places such as the Czech Republic, and they have become quite well-known global scientists, particularly in areas such as computer science, machine learning, and data science.